Hello, dear Starshines. Christina here with Light Body Academy. Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's lunchtime chats. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina and I'm an acceleration expert. And we are here to talk about those topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds, new paradigm visionaries, and way showers. This is because we have a set of skills and abilities that perhaps are not embraced by our larger collective human family. Therefore, we have very unique perspectives of the human experience that is very far removed from the typical human narrative. So I do to the best of my abilities to provide a liberated perspective to these topics and issues that are daily challenges for us. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're here, go ahead, let me know that you're here. Say hi and where you're from. I see your dear sister Carol. Hello, how are you doing, darling? She's in Minnesota. Hopefully, well, I don't know. Are you in the deep freeze there in Minnesota? Oh, yeah, dear sister Louise, hello. She's from the Yukon. She's definitely closer to the deep freeze zone. Thank you for saying hi and letting me know you are here. There are a few things to be talking about today. One is a dear sister Starshine sent me an email a while back asking a question that I intended to be talking about in the chats, but I keep forgetting about it. So, darling, I replied to your email, so you know who you are. So I'm going to talk about her particular question as it relates specifically to the idea about the Kali Yuga ages. And this question is really centered around, the time of changing of the ages isn't just a decade or two. It's actually several hundred years to go from one paradigm reality into the next Kali Yuga new paradigm reality. Okay, so her question is, why in the heck would we choose to come at this time? Because it's not a short haul. It's extremely challenging. It's very, very difficult, and it's not going to last. It's lasting more than just one lifetime. Could last up to 400 years. So those of us who feel that we're born for this time, what the heck? Is it just to go, to spend the next several lifetimes toiling at this endlessly, or the feeling, right? So I want to talk about that perspective because it's a very interesting piece to bring into the conversation. And I think I have some things to offer that will help lighten the load, so to speak, that particular experience she's voicing from. Also, I want to talk about the post that I put in both our communities in Telegram and on Facebook. And this is a lecture from the World Economic Forum where there was a tech individual talking about the main things that you need to have in order to hack a human biosystem, just like you would hack a computer. So this is something, I loved getting this, and the person that sent this to me was just like, oh my God, this is the most terrifying information I've ever heard in my life, right? So, and I totally understand why it would be. So I want to talk about this because this is actually something I have been talking about for several years now, guys. And now, it's like the collective's ready to wake up to the reality of what I'm talking about. So I want to talk about that biohacking and the significance of having our biometric data harvested and stored infinitely for future use. So this is a huge part of the game that we need to be harmonizing as starseeds, as awakened humans walking the path during this time of change. So I have some tools and some ideas about how to mitigate the influence of this sort of technology when it's being used in a malicious form. It doesn't have to be malicious. It's just that's the way it's being used. Okay, this is so important because a lot of times we're in this narrative. We're in a highly polarized time where it's very it's not only is it confusing because something that feels so right, all of a sudden you find out is so wrong, and then you're left questioning yourself, like, oh my gosh, why did I buy into it? There's all these sorts of confusions coming up, but also there's these really strongly, highly charged narratives that we clearly find ourselves on one side of the debate or the other. Yeah. So I want to talk about that. Let me finish saying hi to the dear starshines. So showing up here, we have awesome, woohoo, Tammy here from Kansas. And dear sister Carol is responding to me. She says, yes, it's cold and snowing here in Minnesota. Hello, dear sister Kitty. Good to see you. Hello, Gina. So good to see you from Florida. And then we have Andrew. Andrew said, I'd argue the deliberate calcification of our pineal glands is already a hack on our bodies. Sure. Yes. Right. So there are definitely things being introduced to the human system that has adverse effects that are purposely engineered on a much higher level of understanding of the biosuit functionality. So yeah, in that landscape, absolutely, that could totally be an argument. And also there's people that have that argument of, well, why do I want to decalcify my pineal gland if my energy is just going to get harvested anyway? It's like, why make myself more juicy of a catch? There's that kind of piece that gets put into the conversation. Yeah. So let us know where you're from, Andrew. He's saying that this is his first time watching. And he's with his wife. Woohoo! Hello, darling starshine wife. Just share, maybe where you're from. You never know. You might have some neighbors that are a fan. That happens. I had a very funny conversation with some dear brothers starshines in Australia that told me that they have a little group of friends that get together and watch the chats live at a bar on a beach. So you never know where this is going to pop up. All right. Hello, darling, from Fort Lauderdale. All right. Okay. The one more additional comment from Andrew. Oh no, this is the same thing I just saw. Okay. Good morning, Laurel. Good to see you too. So this is Laurel from British Columbia. So just put in where you're from. What's up going on in your area. I'm really pleased to see the community come together and have you guys make connections. It's really important that this connection that you're feeling with these kinds of chats continues on, where you continue the connection with other humans of like minds and similar vibrations. So you can have a connection of somebody who truly understands you. I don't know if you guys, if you're on the group in the Facebook, I posted this really funny meme of this super excited toddler, and the quote in that was, the feeling of meeting someone that totally, the feeling of meeting another light worker where you don't have to start every sentence with, this might sound crazy, but, right? So it's a really special thing to connect with another person that's on the same wavelength, right? So I encourage you guys to please continue these connections if you can, and that's what these other communities online are for. So the forum on Facebook, which is kind of in peril right now because Facebook is kind of it's laid off in the last couple of weeks, but it was coming in pretty heavy with censorship because we post things about aliens and fairies and things that can't be fact checked, therefore are considered false information, and what affects our rating in Facebook. So that group is called Rise of the Multidimensional Human, and you're still welcome to join, and we still have interesting conversation and postings that happen within that group of like minds. And I would encourage you, if you're a Facebook user and you're not, if you don't mind being careful in that way, I encourage you to check out that group, Rise of the Multidimensional Human. In order to get in, you do need to answer all the entry questions. There's only 3, but if you don't answer the entry questions, even if a friend invites you, you're gonna fall into a basket where our administrator will then have to personally message you to make sure you actually want to be a part of this group. You'll have to have a personal engagement in order to be admitted access. And you might wonder, why in the world do we do such a thing? It's because the intention of our community online is to create a conscious community of people who truly want to be there and with intention of connecting with others. So if someone is not willing to be authentic enough and put the energy forward to answer those entry questions, then the chances are they're not going to be showing up in other ways as well. So it's just a method of filtering out people who really don't understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, So please answer all those questions. And if you loathe Facebook, that's okay, because we totally have another group that I'm having fun cultivating, and that is it's called it's on Telegram, and it's called Multidimensional Human. And then you can always post things in there too. That multidimensional human group has a chat that goes along with it, so you actually can respond to posts and other posters. So a conversation is possible to happen in that way. So just little things to put out there. So hello. Our dear sister Tammy says, Christina, if you have time and it resonates, and you address the Russia invading Ukraine, I have people around me getting highly concerned about it. Well, yeah, because you know what? Half of Congress and the Senate are benefiting, our benefactors, our stockholders in those war profiteering, they're all war profiteers that are running our government, and they're making money, again, hand over fist. So that is a financial transaction that you're watching going on. There's an agreement between all of those people behind the scenes, supplying the weapons, supplying the narratives. You know what I mean? It's all a game. It's not what we were told that it is. Okay. So number one, people should be concerned about that. This is people, lots of people that are in the higher echelons of the social grouping, this false civilization that we have going on, that they're not making the narrative on the vaccine is falling apart. So now they're not only using this as a distraction so people don't pay attention to all the terrible news that's coming out about the damage that's happening with all the young ones and older ones from the vaccine, but they're also making it's a vehicle to make hand over fist. How many millions of dollars is every single bomb being dropped? That gets paid to a contractor, a defense contractor, right? And we have hundreds of thousands of these bombs, hundreds of thousands of these apparatuses, these drones. You see what I'm saying? Big bucks is being made right now with the attack on Ukraine. And I'm telling you, those manufacturers are making money no matter who is the one dropping the bomb, whether it's Russia, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's the US, or whether it's NATO. All the same manufacturers are making that stuff. So wake up, people. This is just a whole nother level of BS, right? It's not, has nothing to do with liberty, has nothing to do with freedom, has nothing to do with commerce. This has to do with the war pigs making money. That's what that's about. It has nothing to do with the little people. Really, we're all just pawns in many situations, ants in the bigger game of what's going on. And thank you, Tammy, just totally got me on a tangent on that. Yeah, so listen, the United States can't afford to go to war. We are broke. We are absolutely broke. So once all those weapons are depleted and we don't have money to pay those defense contractors anymore, we're out of the war game, right? But so what's going to happen? Then they're going to start selling the assets of our country to other countries, which has already happened. Because China owns most of California, as most of us know. Those of you who are researchers and really follow that kind of narrative, most of our public lands is not even owned by the United States anymore, which is why the policies about how citizens can have access to these public lands is changing. The only reason why I have such a close eye on that pulse is because we were RVing. We launched out of California to travel the country and stay in off-the-grid places. A lot of that is public land, and the rules of how and what you can do and when you can access these lands are vastly changing. A lot of farmers that have contracts with the government to let their livestock graze these lands, a lot of that's getting revoked. They don't have permission for that anymore. And this is happening more and more and more around the country. And of course, the kind of land that's being taken up is the kind of land that has water, which is a really big deal out here in the West. Okay, so there is let's say a coup of control of who actually controls things. It's in the United States because we have inalienable rights. It's an administrative coup that is usurping the authority of our government. So now we have these organizations that have people not voted into their position of power. They are delegated. So that's why the CDC, the NIH, all these people have these huge powers administratively over our government system, right? Even though, they're not elected leaders, they are leaders that are allocated this authority. And of course, they're all in on the game. They're all in the game. It's all exploding, which is exactly what needs to happen. These are all forces of Saturn. These are constructs held together by the consciousness of Saturn. And if you want to meditate with that frequency, all you do is call forward the Saturn energy into your hand and really focus on the feelings that come up when you call on that, when you invoke that sort of energy, and you will see just how locked in or not locked in you are in those control systems. Okay, many of us have, as on this, of those of us who are new paradigm visionaries and way showers and star seeds, many of us have already worked our way out of that system. We are way more autonomous than the typical human being, so we're not impacted as deeply as other beings who are being impacted. But it's a time for all of this to wake up. It's all shaking loose. So the ones that want to stay in cruise control, and not really have full command of their lives, they're freaking out right now because the structures they've relied on so deeply are falling apart, or quite literally are asking too much of them in order for them to stay within these structures. Okay. So this is all part of that awakening process. This is all part of us, waking up and realizing we want something different than what's actually happening. And then the humanity is getting pushed to the wall. So much pressure is getting put on humanity where the pain of not changing is more painful than the change itself. Okay. That's why it's so intense. And that's why so many of us who are starseeds and are outside of the program, we're not feeling it the same way. A lot of us are seeing this as like a freaking miracle going on. It's like things that are shifting that we never thought possible was shifting. And the natural world and these invisible realms, they're even more accessible than they ever have before. So a lot of us starseeds are people who are woke out of the matrix. We're like having a completely different experience of the shenanigans going on. Uh-oh, my device just said, it just went from like 60% to 10%. Out of nowhere. Oh, shoot. Okay. I'm going to have to holler down to my partner real quick to get my power cord. So I apologize. So I'm going to take a break. 1 second. I'll be right back. And then I'll get to some of these other questions. Hey, Maine, are you here? Can you bring up the power cord from the hallway real quick? My device is all of a sudden dying of power. All right, you guys, let me know how the sound is without my headphones. Okay, just let me know how that is, and if it's good, then we're good to rock, and if not, I'll have to figure out another thing. Thank you so much, John. All right. Okay, there we go. Let me get to some questions here. Please let me know if the sound is good. Okay. Thank you. All right, so hello, dear sister Lavana, Lollipop Socks. I love that handle. She's from Santa Cruz. We have Samantha. Welcome from Ohio. So grateful for this community. Thank you, Christina. Yes, thank you, Samantha, for being here. Dear Polly, good to see you, darling. Glad that you're here. Andrew says, I like that inflation is now being blamed on Russia invading Ukraine, LOL. That one made me laugh. Oh, I know, there's so much deflection going on. I also posted in these groups that I mentioned a chronicle of all the different headlines that have been happening since 2020 to now, to how all of a sudden the scientists have woken up to all these other factors that can cause heart attacks and blood clots. And it's everything from watching too much Netflix to having too much fish oils in your diet to spending too much time on the computer. I mean, things are absolutely ridiculous, and they've been building the narrative for 2 years. So it could be a plausible thing to point to something else other than the what that is causing all these adverse events. I don't know, but and today I read in the news article in a newsletter that I get called COVID and Coffee. If you guys are interested in signing up for that, it's not my newsletter. It's an attorney who's tracking all the events going on, all the lawsuits, but also the headlines and stuff in relationship to COVID measures. And he quoted a Romanian businessman. He's a businessman, political leader. He owns one of the football teams which we call soccer in the US, in Europe. And he said, from now on, we are no longer accepting players that have been vaccinated because they are noticeably weaker. They break down quicker. And of course, they've had so many people drop dead on the fields. So he actually said that publicly, and it was in an article published, I think it was in the New York Times. So you guys can look that up and verify that for yourself. Please do. So the word's getting out about these things. Yeah. All right. And this is what I'm talking about, Andrew, is that the cover stories are so absolutely ridiculous to anybody who's paying attention that we can see right through it now. We're not at all gonna flip out about it, because we're like, oh wow, that's a bold-faced lie. Oh yep, right there, yep, that's total false. And really, my husband totally woke me up one day to how I was getting uptight over something that really wasn't necessary, which was hilarious. And that was at the time, who was president? It was before Bush. It was who was? It was before Trump. No. Yeah. It was before Trump. And the president before him, I read some article where they were printing an additional $1 trillion and dumping it into the economy. And I was just like, oh my God, how could they do that? It's going to do this, it's going to do that. And he's like, well, doesn't that just show you it's just not real? This is all mad money. This is all made up money. None of it is backed by anything. It's all being done to go into the collective flow and manipulate and create a cause and effect in the direction that serves those who it serves, the powers that be. So once he said that, I was like, duh, I guess I knew that, but I needed to be reminded. So all these shenanigans at first, notice the response you have, because the whole reason why this narrative is being conveyed is specifically to elicit that kind of response. Because when we're in that level of response, when we're being hijacked by, emotionally, mentally by this information, we're now suggestible. We're now malleable, right? So really, it's okay to inform yourself on what's going on, but do know that the information that you're exposed to isn't truth by any stretch of the imagination. It is the program that they want you to go with. It's the program they want humans to be, the information that they want to manipulate humans with. And when you go in with that kind of attitude, no matter what news outlet, if it's mainstream, legacy, or alternative, whatever outlet you're tapping into for information, you can see it more truthfully for what it is. Okay. All right. All right. Dear Andrew says he's from Santa Cruz. He used to live in Southern California. Welcome. Dear Beverly says, Andrew, right? Yeah, she's responding. Okay, good. You guys are having a conversation there on the side here. Gotta love the brainwashing. Yeah. Well, the brainwashing thing is frustrating to watch. But once you awoke out of it, that on a vibrational level really helps other people wake up out of it. So there's a lot happening in the unseen realms that is subconsciously impulsing people. Okay, so we don't have to say anything most of the time. I mean, a lot of times we take the bait and we get involved, right? But we don't have to. We can actually realize when we stay within our own energy in the presence of these manipulations, we are not in resonance with the manipulations. Therefore, we are actually opening up opportunities for people to wake up out of the brainwashing, because it's not this big wave of resonance that they have no control over. There's like a space energetically on a subconscious level. There's a space that happens where they have a breath. And in that breath, there's an opportunity to realize, wait a minute, something is off here. And if they have any level of curiosity, then they're going to start asking personal questions about that, right? And go on further. All right. Christina, you have super high energy today. Yeah, so that's because I've been playing around with some fairies, some Palladian fairies. Those of you who are with me in Santa Fe know about this, and those of you in the academy totally know about this. I just reconnected with some energy from an old teacher of mine, and she brought this amazing collection of wisdom through from the fairy realms, from the cosmic fairy realms, Deva kingdoms, And that means lots of beings of the unseen realm, not just fairykin. But, but what I'm waking up to is that how all of us humans, our biosuits, our DNA is waking up. And really how we feel that, depending on the spectrum of consciousness we're awake to, how we feel that is that these certain aspects of us that are not human start to come into our awareness. And as we engage with these non-human aspects and open up to it, then that part of our DNA dance can now move and be active. So that's what I was just doing before I got onto this, was diving back into activating these certain aspects of my own DNA. Because I'm having epiphany after epiphany happening lately, which is so cool. Which means there's a lot of big stuff has opened up and cleared up. And upon integrating everything that opened up and cleared, then that's when the mind can have the understanding, right? So all this work that's been going on, and I think it has a lot to do with the solar flares that have been happening on a daily basis this month, and then other sorts of openings. This is the result. We have a whole nother level of understanding, a whole nother level of energy that we're tuned into, that we're embodying and coming from when we communicate and create things, right? We're creating, it opens up a whole nother part of us that we can create from, right? Okay. All right. So let me talk a little bit about, okay. Thank you, Louise. The sound is fine. Okay. So all right. Andrew has a few questions, but I'm going to get back to that, but let me dive into this whole thing about the World Economic Forum. And the Kali Yuga, because I need to keep that in my forefront, so I answer those two questions. So the piece about the World Economic Forum, that it's a 2-minute clip. If you guys want to hop on either the Telegram group or the Facebook group and check that out, he's talking about data collecting on how real power, in the coming age of the new paradigm, real power is with who holds the data. Okay. Now, in the old paradigm, that wouldn't necessarily make sense. But now that we have technology and we can use technology to analyze, to read and inform, we have algorithms, we have all this high tech engagement, we can collect a lot of information on people. Okay, so you guys have seen those Fitbits, right? They're reading all of your rhythms. They're reading your heart rate. They're reading all of the rhythms and putting all that data into a cloud. And then there's other devices, frequency devices, that do a similar thing. They'll scan the body. They can read the subtle fields, the subtle bodies, deep pieces within the mystical realms of the physical body, translate that into a bit of data, and then store that into a cloud. Now I have a device called a Healy that does something similar to that, but I do not save any of the information on a cloud, and it's on a device that has no SIM card. So unless I'm purposely going online through a secure channel, the phone is not activated or recording information, well, to my knowledge. Anyway, so what happens is that they can use that data to create an avatar, a digital avatar of you that is an expression of your frequency in real time. Okay, so right now, say you have Fitbit or you have some sort of device that's reading all your information and pumping it into a cloud, they can take that information, create an avatar on a holographic level, and now they have a digital replica of you. Now, those of you who've been working in the academy and those of you who've been listening to these chats for a few years, you may remember a ancient tool that I used to talk about called sand paintings as healing vehicles. Okay, and these sand paintings I was originally exposed to with the Weechaw people, and some other sources, indigenous sources, were used to change the energy of a particular situation. In voodoo, they would use a voodoo doll. So what it is that you capture the energy and you start building something that has such a perfect resonance to the actual being or representation of the situation then what happens is that sympathetic resonance happens between your painting or mandala, whatever you want to call that, or medicine doll, and the actual person or persons in a situation. The sympathetic resonance becomes super strong. And then once that connection happens, you can actually start altering things within the sand painting, and it will alter things within the person or persons in the situation. You see what I mean? So this sympathetic resonance principle is very, very important for us to keep in mind when it comes to creating digital avatars. Because because the resonance through sympathetic resonance, that digital avatar is spot on in every level, emotionally, mentally, physically, energetically, right? And all the different rhythms of your body are in perfect sympathetic resonance with that avatar. They can actually start creating changes to that avatar, and that change will start reflecting within you. Now, if this doesn't flip you out, you're not understanding what I'm really saying, okay? This is a really big deal, and this is the real problem with the idea. This is the real abuse of technology. People get up in arms about transhumanism. Yeah, that's a thing, but this is a much bigger thing, because there are beings that have data that they've been collecting of the Earth, and they have a full-on real-time holographic representation of our planet, and the magma flows and the current flows and the energy lines and the people. You see what I'm saying? So when you have a holographic representation that is in deep sympathetic resonance with the Earth, you can start impacting the Earth. You can do the same thing with the solar ring with technology. And beings have been doing that for many millions of years, which is a scary thought for many. But those of you who woke to the galactic mind and beyond, you can feel the truth of what I'm talking about. This holographic overlay has been happening for a very long time. It's just now humans are waking up to it. And of course, the humans that are waking up to it as being a real thing, are those that are using it for power over dynamics, to get more money, to get more power, to get more control, la 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 la, right? So what can you be doing about this to make yourself not impervious? You want to be able to make yourself immune to this type of manipulation. Well, the answer is way simpler than you think, right? Well, there's the obvious thing, right? Don't let them collect that kind of data. Don't expose yourself to that kind of data collection, right? It's hard because you're tracked. Everything that you do online is tracked. But limit the kind of avatars you create, right? There's like this bit emoji where people make little avatars of themselves. I think it's a playful little thing that a lot of people use. But if you start plugging in your birth data, and you start plugging in your home address, what you're doing in this very moment, if you start plugging in more information on avatars like that, you're actually creating a connection to you through sympathetic resonance. So just be mindful about that. So limit the level of versions of yourself that you actually put into the digital world. Be mindful about it. All right, so that's a very practical thing. Be purposeful about not doing that. And of course, you coming from a more macro aspect of who you are, as in you've woken up to who you are beyond the galactic mind and beyond, and all of us can wake up to that. All of us are going in that direction. Okay, it's unstoppable. I know a lot of people might feel like it is stoppable. The powers that be are doing what they're doing, but the reason why they're so overt right now is because they have no other choice. They have a technology where they can put changes into the collective and see the future results of what their changes are. They have that technology. It's called the looking glass technology. It's a reverse engineer seat from a ship that crashed. Well, it crashed. It was actually given to humanity by a race with not good intentions. But anyway, let me continue. So they can see the impacts of what they're doing. That's why it's ramped up so strongly, because everything that they're doing is not changing the awakening timeline. The timeline may be delayed a little bit, but it's inevitable. It's inevitable because the word has been spoken from a cosmic level, from a quantum level, and that from that level, there's no way to intervene. You can divert, you can move, but ultimately it does happen. So the awakening of humanity is imminent. I'm starting to get information from different beings from the unseen realms that it's happening sooner than later. Okay, as in like months. Rather than the 400 years that was alluded to in this thing. And the 400 years about the Kali Yugas, this is more about the word has been spoken at a really high level. Now, how long does it take for us to build a society, a community that is in alignment with that intent, with that outer nesting doll intent? So those words been spoken in the quantum levels, which is completely outside of time. As it travels through the dimensional nesting dolls that are creating our reality, more, time is going by in this level, right? So by time the whole collective wakes up to these other levels and are making decisions to create structures that are in harmony with that intent, that's what takes that 400 years, okay? So that's, and time is completely relative. On the quantum level, it's a matter of the intent happening and going through the dimensional levels, and they just watch it. You just watch it travel. There is no time. I mean, whether it takes a century, 4 centuries, or 3 millennia, it's all the same. It's all the same event when you're looking at it in the quantum levels. So time is a relative thing. It's not something that's static. Time that passes by on Venus is different than how it passes by here on Earth. Time on Jupiter also happens differently than here on Earth. Time is, you see what I'm saying? So it's all very, very different in comparison. And then when you start going into these unseen worlds with the nature devas and spirits and stuff like that, time yet is dilated again. All of us know these ancient myths and lores of for example, Rumpelstiltskin. Who doesn't know the story of Rumpelstiltskin, right? He goes into a fairy circle, has this amazing experience, and comes out and finds out 20 years has gone by, right? That's because in that realm of the fairy realm, I'll just say nature spirit realm, time is completely different than how it's passing here in 3D. So we also need to take that kind of consideration when we're looking at these teachings that are about the Kali Yugas and the different cycles of evolution that happen. Getting back to the sympathetic resonance, I know I'm kind of going all over the place here. The sympathetic resonance and what to do about the digital overlay. Number one, claiming autonomy, paying attention to your body, paying attention to how you spend your time. That is flat out how you mitigate this. When I say pay attention to what you're doing with your time, what I'm talking about is that you are investing your time and bringing whatever you need to inspire yourself to bring your spirit forward into your life. The more you bring love and compassion, the truth of your spirit, and weave it through your actions into your daily world, the more impervious you become to these holographic overlays. Okay? It takes time because we have to unlearn a lot of things that we've learned. There's a lot of programs that are deeply woven in our ancestry that we need to unwind. There's programs in our soul's journey that we need to unwind. So it does take time. But once you truly decide in your heart that it's a yes to hit it full force, unraveling this work, it's faster and more accelerated than ever before. So you can do things in just a few months that in the old paradigm would take someone 20, 30, 40 years. Okay, so do know that. That's something that's really working in your favor if you're just now waking up to these things, right? So even though the sympathetic resonance is a principle within the way the mechanics of our universe works, we do have choices, we do have free will. And something, if you really want to freak these people out, because I've done this, played with it a little bit, that sympathetic resonance, that's a two-way street. So they make a change in your holographic overlay and it starts impacting you here. Well, you know what? You can use that same sympathetic resonance to track it back and you can start changing the hologram that they have, right? So once you start doing that, they will shut your hologram down quickly, because they do not, because once you wake up to how to track like that, it's only a matter of time before you can actually track the core program and shut it down with your essence. You can shut it down with your infinite nature. You can go to the quantum levels that created that technology and completely annihilate it. And they don't want anybody to do that. This is why we have stories like Christ saying, you will do all this and more. It's because we had to get to this level of awareness of how technology is used so we can actually start understanding truly who we are as infinite beings in a biosuit. And there is no realm that we do not have autonomy. That's the digital realm as well. The digital realm is not devoid of our will. Okay? It absolutely is impacted by our will. I've had all kinds of beings mess with my electronics. I've had like Sasquatch will actually start to play things on my YouTube channel because they want me to see something. I've had star beings as well put things into my devices. I've had interdimensional beings actually put videos and photographs on my devices. You see what I'm saying? So technology is not inherently of evil. It's not inherently of dark forces. It's just that the forces that are awake to it and who are utilizing it right now are heavily invested in power over dynamics, because they want to keep control. They want to keep a grip on the life of this planet for as long as possible. Okay? And they're going to harvest as much as possible until they can't anymore. So, the shenanigans is just going to keep getting more and more crazy until we unplug from it. And once we unplug from it and recognize our autonomy and we recognize what a lifestyle looks like to be empowered in this world, but not mired in it, right? Then we're actually creating the new kind of lifestyle for a human, for a free, autonomous human being. We are inventing that. Okay, we are imagining that. Is not something that you're going to be taught by your parents or your grandparents. Okay, star elders are not going to be able to teach you how to do that. You have to figure that out. It's your imagination, it's your creative energy, it's your focus, it's your will. Okay, so that means your ego driver is part of that game too. It's you can't just rip your ego driver out and be just radiant sunshine within your biosuit with no personality. It doesn't work. It'd be great if it worked, but it doesn't work. It defeats the purpose, right? So think about this. Just take these seeds and think about them, because we are waking up to realize, we as a collective are waking up to realize that reality is not at all what we think it is, right? Even those who are super involved in the Anunnaki narrative, or the reptilian narrative. It's like that narrative is one snippet perspective of a much bigger picture. And the ones who are sharing the perspective, they're sharing it because they want you to have the story that they are your God, they are your creator. And the fact is, that's total BS. They are genetic manipulators, and they are one of many who have come to this planet to play with the DNA. One of many. So if any Anu being comes to you and says, I am your God, I am your creator, and you're like, oh yeah, which one are you exactly? Pull out a Rolodex. Okay, well, we have the Pleiadians, we have the Syrians, we have the Lyrans, we have look at that, we have Andromedans. Which one are you again exactly? You can do that. And that's definitely going to put that being in its place, because now the being does not have the level of authority that it thinks it has, because you just responded in that way. You see? So you are more powerful than you realize. Your ego driver does twist and turn, mess things up a lot. But the way through it all is your heart space, is your love. Your love is a compass. Your love is a force field that keeps you on the track, the path of your truth. Okay? Really, really important distinctions here. All right, let me jump back into what some of the comments are here. All right, so getting back to Andrew, stop feeling bad for and trying to change my loved ones who are still brainwashed. Yeah, what else can you do? All you can do is hold silently the truth inside yourself. It was awesome reframe for me. Now I realize that they'll They'll either get it in this life or in a future one. Yeah, they will. They'll get it eventually, somewhere along the lines, they'll get it. My relationship with them all is so much better now that I'm not stressed about trying to help them figure it all out. Yes, 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 yes. All right. I used to think that I was helping too. Okay, so this is Gina. Sounds good, a little more quiet but clear. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the feedback on the sound. All right, it just drains you and they never change. Okay, they're still talking about people who, trying to help people wake up out of the matrix. Okay, so keep going, keep going. It took me like 40 years to learn that lesson. I know it does. It takes us a long time to figure it out. The cool thing is these star seeds, these younger generations are figuring out at a younger age. And yeah, that might kind of, be like, wow, I wish I knew that back then in my life. But really, it's all perfect. It's all perfect unfoldment. That have been here longer, the only difference is that we're trailblazers. We're trailblazers. We're creating the path. We're blazing brand new trails into new paradigm of what it looks like to be autonomous and independent in this system, right? So that's the only difference. These younger were trailblazing because these younger ones have yet another layer of their mission, and they need to have those paths already carved out so they can put their bandwidth to what it is that they're really here to do, what they're here to envision, what they're here to create. Okay, so I'm predicting a massive explosion in entrepreneurship because the people who really have the passion to change this world aren't going to wait for any government system to back them up. They're going to hit the ground running and do what they do, right? And the only way to do that is to figure out how to make it happen on your own. Build your team of support. Build your method of bringing abundance to you. Perfect how you manifest. And then you can have all those pieces working together to create a company that does the vision that you have. Maybe it's creating a special kind of school for starseeds or Asperger kids or whatever. Or maybe it's some sort of green tech type technology. Maybe it's quantum computing. You're brilliant in that way and you're going to start something on that level. Whatever it is, it's going to be something that really rocks your world, that jazzes your soul and inspires you to wake up, spring up out of bed every day to pursue your passion. If all humans did that, if we only put our energy towards that which fuels our passion, imagine what this world would be like. You wouldn't have any half-dead humdrums going to work that they hate, going to a job that they can't stand with people they don't like. You know what I mean? We have in this area here, there's a lot of blue-collar workers that when they were in high school, their highest aspiration was to get a great factory job where they can make 60 to 100 grand a year working 7 days a week. It's like, but that paradigm is over, people, and people woke up had really harsh awakenings out of that reality. But now that it's happened, people are waking up, oh, hey, I'm really handy like this, I'm really handy like that. Like all these, there's a whole bunch of independent contractors out here that do housework, that do electrician, that do plumbing. They have a trade and they're their own bosses in their trade. So even in places like this that started off with roots in very depressed kind of collectives, they too have woke up out of that and took responsibility for themselves, discovered their own level of autonomy, right? And do what they do. All right, dear sister. Okay, Gina is saying something about, wow, very brave of him, super scary for the athletes. She's talking about that Romanian businessman. Yes. So, but this is a sign that the narrative is changing, because if he said that even 2 months ago, that interview would have been absolutely censored. The person that published it slammed and blackballed, right? Because that was the kind of censorship that was going on. But now the word is out. Terrible things are happening to people with these, whats. And there's no going back. You can't push it under the rug because it's happening to too many people. Okay, so again, another level on waking up on the system and the depth of the manipulation going on. All right. So Andrew says, still waiting on the U.S. digital dollar. We are pretty sure it was our government who secretly created Bitcoin as a test bed for eventual U.S. digital dollar. so they can track everything. Yeah, so the real technology breakthrough behind that is blockchain. And yeah, that is definitely something that our governments and around the world and other elites are investing heavily in blockchain. And Bitcoin was the beginning, but there's lots of other kinds of digital currencies that have emerged, and they're toting it as like the free, the free society money that's not owned by anybody, but that's totally not the truth at all. It's a commodity just like everything else that treats humans like a resource, right? Because Bitcoin grows in value by having more humans invest in it, right? So without the human life force energy investing in it in different ways, it would not have any value. So it's still a system based on humans being a resource. All right. Now this is, you see what I'm saying? It's a digital manifestation of harvesting human energy and focus. All right, dear, let's see, I'm going to do, we will live by example rather than trying to change our loved ones. Yes, absolutely. When I hear about, I'm just scrolling through here. I thought there were some questions in here. Definitely nothing. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. All right, dear sister. Okay, they're still going on about Bitcoin and some other things. Woohoo! Okay, schooling. Let's get back into the nitty gritty today. Love it. Getting back into the nitty gritty. I love it. This conversation was way past due, and I love your unique delivery as usual, dear Christina. Yeah, thank you, Soul Schooling. Okay, so about the bit emoji avatar, I use them a lot because I think they're cute, like little pictographs. Then something really totally scary happened. I had to log in a few months ago and start fresh, and they added a bit emoji of me in a wheelchair. Whoa, isn't that interesting? Yeah. Uh-huh. So then she goes on to say, what makes this so messed up for me is that my biggest fear is to not be able to walk and play. Fascinating. Okay, so the fear response, the emotions of that actually causes your body to output more life force energy. Okay, so it can also be a part of that harvesting game. Now we are trained generation after generation after generation to allow our biofields to be harvested. So this is, I mean, it may freak people out, the idea of it, but it is a truth that's been happening for a long time. And quite frankly, it's a journey to figure out how to live in such a way so you are no longer harvested, because it happens on so many levels. Meditating alone does not fix the problem. Learning proper energetic hygiene by itself does not fix the problem. We have to literally get out of the matrix of why we think the way we think and how we think the way we think. Okay, how we actually believe reality is, that is what truly has to fall away for us to become impervious to the harvesting game. Okay, that's because it's happening on many, many layers of our reality. It's not just the digital layer. It's also the personal relationship layer, the mental, emotional exchanges that happen when you're with other people. And also when you get large groups together, the kind of harvesting is possible with that. People go to a dance party, a bunch of people. If you're in an ecstatic dance party, then everybody's sober and a spiritual level, awoke to themselves. That is much cleaner, but there's still harvesting going on. There's still somebody who dedicated that space to a deity or to something. Okay, so there's still harvesting happening there, even without the drugs. But if you go into even the dance space where there's a lot of drugs and alcohol going on, there's all kinds of crazy stuff happening. You have the whole seduction, objectification thing going on, but then you also have all these women and men trying to get control over each other with seduction, and there's all sorts of invisible energies that are energy exchanging happening with that kind of dance. So it's really hard to go anywhere without some sort of level of harvesting already set in place in the grid works or whatever. So there's a lot to wake up to around that for humanity. And I'm not saying that every time you dance you're going to be food. I'm saying if you're doing the dance without awareness, you could be food, right? Once you have awareness, then you can dedicate your specific dance to something that benefits life, that benefits you, that benefits, humans in general, right? So so that kind of piece is really important, because dance is a powerful modality that can bring deep healing to the human body and the human condition, psychologically, mentally, emotionally. Okay, so dance is a major playground for humans to explore and heal themselves and reclaim their autonomy. So is sex. Sex is another thing. Getting to the hormonal system, right? So our hormonal system, as in the pineal gland, but also the other different major glands of the body, we actively work against the nature that those glands are secreting into our system. So we're literally at war with our biosuits because of our behaviors and attitudes. And this is why mystery school teachings can be really powerful for a starseed or a way shower, new paradigm visionary, because we come in with encodements that it's almost like plug and play for those types of teachings. As soon as we hear it, something activates inside of us and we have an epiphany that changes our lives. Versus in the old paradigm, we would have to hear it, not believe it, hear it, not believe it, hear it, not believe it, hear it, start to believe it, hear it, start to apply it. You know what I mean? It took a lot of time to be exposed to those teachings, and then practice of those teachings to recognize that there's deep truth in those teachings. That's how it went in the old paradigm. But for those of us who are coming in with the encodements ripe for activation, we just need to simply hear the truth and we're activated to it. And then it's up to us to implement that as a truth within our lives. Okay, my device is going to cut out real quick. So when it does, I'm going to come back. So just know that. We're almost up to our hour, but I'm going to go on a couple more minutes. And when this thing cuts out in exactly 3 minutes, I'll come back. So where was I? Oh, yeah, the endocrine system. So as we get introduced to these teachings that show us how to not be at war within ourselves, right? Then we can start being an ally to these glands, to the purpose of these hormones, and have a more balanced system. So the pineal gland calcification game, right? People are freaked out by that, but really, and this is going to be controversial, the third eye is not the big power piece in the body. The powers that be want you to think that the third eye is the big key. It's not. It's great to have the third eye available, in real time and space so you can work with multidimensional frequencies, but it is not the big piece that has to be opened inside of you. The big piece that has to be activated inside of you is actually your sacrum. Your sacrum needs to be able to hold a very high frequency resonance, a sympathetic resonance with your infinite nature, because it's the sacrum that's actually the seat of your soul. It's not the third eye, it's not the heart, though the heart is very important too. The actual sympathetic resonator that holds the frequency that is the seat of your soul is your sacrum. That has to get activated. And that is the secret of all this jaguar imagery that you see strewn throughout the artwork of the mystery schools. When you see a magician, a wizard, a witch, a healer, whatever, wrapped in a jaguar pelt, that is alluding to their sacrum is fully activated and in resonance with the truth of who they are in the universe. Okay, that's a big truth bomb I'm dropping on you right now. So the thing is, our sexual energy has been so strongly hijacked that we were not likely to awaken and activate the sacrum on that level. Only through the path of healing deeply within yourself do you start hitting those pieces. Of course, these new people, these new children coming in are closer to that, and that's more available to humanity than ever, and that's just going to continue to grow and expand and be so So we're definitely reversing that momentum, but it's the sacrum that needs to get activated and held and holding the frequency. Once that becomes activated and sympathetic resonance is holding the frequency, then the rest of the endocrine system, the rest of your biosuit has a strong foundation to push through these frequencies that are dampening our awareness, that are dampening our life force, or even siphoning off our life force. So the calcified pineal gland can be cleared in an instant once your sacral seat of the soul has been activated and it is in sympathetic resonance. Okay, so that's the big piece here, and the calcification is an effect. It's all right. The whole reason why it can happen is because we're shut down. If we weren't shut down, introducing those substances into the body would not have the impact that it's having. It's only having its impact because we are shut down. Okay, so this is also true with nanite technologies. A lot of people are freaking out about the you-know-what nanite technologies. It's like, you know what, nanites have been introduced to the human experience for a long time, long before graphene, you know what, has been discovered and put into certain kinds of therapies and medications. So as you activate the sympathetic resonance of your sacrum to be in perfect sympathetic resonance with your universal consciousness, as you activate that and cultivate a lifestyle that supports that remaining active, a lot of the stuff becomes a moot point. You are no longer hijackable, you're no longer penetrable because of the resonance of you being in that spectrum with universal self. I hope this is making sense the way I'm saying it. So I would encourage people, instead of focusing on activating the third eye, focus on activating your sacrum. Start playing with that and see what it does. And we have this foundation class in the academy. Well, you guys might want to check that out. It's the first Sunday of every month, and we just go over some of the basic foundation practices that we use to clear energies, and more than just clear energies, but actually unwind intuitive blind spots. And people who are not in the academy are welcome to participate in that and register for that. So if you want to register for that, I'll put a link in the comments of this video in the YouTube channel and in the community, so you can see. So you can register for that and play around. It's just a couple hours. I think it's like $45 or something like that, and you can start working with these techniques, because there's things that you could be doing on a regular basis that will accelerate your process, that are very simple and easy. And one of the things that we've played with in the past is focusing on clearing out the polluted frequencies within the sacrum, and just the sacrum. And people have noticed really profound shifts in their consciousness from doing that. Like, all of a sudden it's way easier to stay centered and grounded. All of a sudden some of their childhood dramas that have repeated themselves in their everyday life stop. It's like those loops end instantly. Other things that happen is you become more, your nervous system becomes more relaxed, your immune system becomes bolstered, stuff like that starts to happen. Okay, so yeah, if you guys want to check that out, I'll post that link. It'll be interesting to have you guys join the light body community at large with that. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, I covered the Kali Yuga thing. Sorry, Christina, was not done in a very, I wove it into the bigger narrative of the chats. So you'll have to listen to the whole chats to get the response about that. But I'd like to hear from you guys. What kinds of things are going on inside where you feel like it's like, and humanity is potentially in danger of not having the awakening experience? I would love to hear from you guys around that. And you can, there's a link that gets shared once a week that polls people for questions. You can put it in that poll, or you can put it in the comments in some of those groups and just tag me, make sure I see it. Because I'd like to know where you guys are at with that. There's a lot of shifting and changing. Some people, it's like waves of fear and peace, waves of fear and peace. Just keep going back and forth. Some days, we feel really great, like humanities, there's hope, and there's other days of, oh my gosh, we're totally screwed, right? So I would like to hear what kinds of questions are you asking yourself when you're in that space of, oh my gosh, I think we might all be totally screwed. I would love to hear from you about that. Because like I said, I do my best to provide a liberated perspective to help you guys navigate, because these times are very confusing. There's lots of conflicting information, and there's lots of deeply buried pieces here that confuse our compass sometimes. Our dear sister Gina says, I think that people are addicted to fear that they might not wake up because they are afraid to do so. So people are addicted to fear. That is actually a scientifically explored and proven topic, that the endocrine system releases hormones through, they create sensations through your body, and people quite literally become addicted. You'll know someone who's addicted to it because they are drama people. They feed off of drama. They have to, you know what I mean? They're only happy when there's a drama going on. That's what it looks like. Okay, that's in the mild form. That's what it looks like. Of course, there's a more extreme form of that too, and that's really what's happening in humanity. It's like people have been traumatized for so long, starting with the beginning of the Trump administration. The media was traumatizing the entire planet with how terrible he was, how stupid he was. He's going to do this war. He's going to create that war. He's going to create, you know what I mean? He's going to do all this, alarm. For 4 years, we're having that alarm. And then at the end, the big alarm, the COVID shenanigans, and then, and then our next president, and then there's even more alarm after alarm after alarm. So we've been kept in the state as a collective for a long, long time. And people have developed an addiction to this. And this is why we need to reclaim ourselves. We need to get out of it. We need to reclaim how we focus our attention, focus on what uplifts us, focus on what inspires us. Who cares if the sky is falling? Every day the sky can potentially fall, right? Every day everything can end. Your whole world can end in an instant. So why dwell on it? It's not going to make it come any faster or slower. Focus on what you love. Focus on finding what your passion is and rocking your passion out day after day. And that is how you are going to do your part in changing the world. It's that simple. All right, guys. Love you lots. So glad that you are here. If you want to stay connected, I encourage you guys to get on our email list, lifebodyacademy.com. Go subscribe to this channel and like this video to help support, get the word out, stuff like this. I really appreciate that. And we're re-upping our newsletter game, so we're putting more and more newsletters out, so you'll be hearing from us more. For those of you who've subscribed in the past and there wasn't a lot of activity, we're upticking the activity again. We're going to keep releasing information and also opportunities to hook up in person potentially. So thank you guys for being here. Love you lots. Christina with Life Body Academy. We'll see you next time.